And now for our feature presentation.
Check the countdown, 2 down, 10 to go. 1.8 on the clock, time for.
Yo, who say you gotta be a big man to compete in the NBA?
Not us, Shorty.
That's right. Allen and Jerome. That's us. We gonna creep on in.
Creeping like a creeper.
And drop some Stephon Marbury inner city funk. Yo, I'd love to see the face of the fool trying to D my slamming moves to the hole. Yo, David, you may be bigger than me, but you need to get yourself some Coppertone lotion.
Why that, baby?
Cause you just got burned.
So at long last, the 2025-26 San Antonio Spurs NBA regular season schedule is finally released for what will be my 29th year as a fan of this team, and boy do we have a lot to talk about between this topic as well as many other Spurs headlines that developed in San Antonio this offseason. So let's break it all down little by little in this video. It's officially official, but in the form of the news that we were hoping not to hear. One of the last two homeboys from last year's team that was left has officially departed from San Antonio, but it was bound to happen because he was so injury prone. It was already bad enough that in recent years, 4 total imposters came to San Antonio and stole the numbers of 2 all-time great Spurs that deserve to have their jersey retired, which their numbers should be disallowed from ever being used in San Antonio again. You would think after last year that nightmare was over, but nope, it's going to continue this year. One of our newcomers stole one of the all-time Spurs greats numbers, so I will not be cheering for him this upcoming season as he's officially earned my way to his shit list. So we'll be breaking it down all in this video, along with every other Spurs news update that has developed this current offseason that's about to come to a close very, very soon. Hey YouTube, what's going on? Mark here. Happy Monday to all, and I'm sorry I did not get this video out in an early enough manner, so therefore I'm just getting it over with now, finally getting it out of the way so I don't have to worry about it no more, and having to face the ramifications of continuously putting it off over and over, and to the point where it takes longer to get done, but we're here to get it done. So let's go over this piece of all the Spurs news updates that dropped on this offseason, other news updates that have dropped this offseason since the last Spurs news update video, as well as break down the 2025-26 schedule. So let's get the first 2 simple headlines out of the way. Unfortunately, the last of the two of the remaining homeboys from last year's team, not the result that we hoped for. It looks like Charles Bassey experiment in San Antonio is no more, as the Spurs decided not to bring him back and decided to move on from him. That, having him as a backup center for Victor Wembanyama was not the best option long term, and this could, as I love Bassey to death, but I hate to say, fanboy cap off, that's basically the better choice, like the best option. It's more realistic to the point where it's gonna, if we were to kept him, it would have hurt us more than helped us, because that guy could never stay healthy for the life of him, which is why his first year in San Antonio, he missed a good portion of the season. I think it might have been the year before Wembanyama or Wembanyama's first season. I don't fucking remember. It was one of those 2 seasons, but excuse me. Yeah, but he almost ended up on the Boston Celtics, but that summer league audition didn't work out for him, unfortunately. So I want to wish Bassey nothing but the best in his future endeavors and wherever he decides to play basketball next, or if he decides to call it a career and, focus on his future and with his family and whatnot in his personal life. So therefore, and also with Chris Paul leaving to go play his final season back in the Clippers, the team we associate him more than any other NBA team he played for, that alongside the Pelicans, which was original Charlotte Hornets, which their team information, data, and history was transferred to the Charlotte Bobcats, which was rebranded as the Hornets. So if you follow the NBA closely for as long as I have, and been as long as I have, instead of all these, casual, new generation fans who, you think they know it all and think they know more than you, the longtime OG diehard fans, then that's thunder. Holy shit. Okay, that kind of scared the hell out of me, because I thought I thought they were throwing fireworks out, or there was gunshots going on. But anyway, so if you haven't followed the NBA for as long, or like don't follow that stuff statistically like closely enough, then you probably would get confused no matter how long you have or haven't been watching. So therefore, we associate him more with the Pelican and Clipper more than we do any other team he's played for. The only reason why KJ went to number 0 last year is to let Paul keep his iconic number 3, for which every team he's played for that is recognized as greatness, probably the Mark Martin of the NBA as a whole, where the Iceman George Gervin is the Mark Martin of San Antonio Spurs basketball, the best to never win the championship. But that's neither here or there when it comes to best in NASCAR to not win a championship. But Chris Paul's is probably one of the best NBA players to not win the championship. So therefore, every player who's worn number 3 in the team that Chris Paul has come to and helped them turn the squad around in a positive manner, playoffs or not, has respected him and let him keep that number and decided to take a different number upon themselves to recognize greatness, even if in the form of a jersey number. That's what Keldon did last year, went to number 0 to let Paul wear the number 3. But with Paul back the Clippers to finish out his career, KJ decided to take back the number 3 and pick up where he left off from when he last had it in Wembanyama's rookie season. So I guess that kind of answers the question and confirms that the NBA did indeed abolish that stupid rule where you have to wear the same jersey number at least 2 full years before you're allowed to change it to something else you may want. But I guess they abolished it, let Keldon take it back after 1 full year of wearing the 0. So therefore, kudos to the NBA for doing something right for a change. So therefore, and that means we got 1 Wembanyama, 2 Harper, 3 Keldon, 4 Fox, and 5 Castle. And if you want to count Spurs great, Avery Johnson, that's 6, and Luke Cornett. I wouldn't say Luke Cornett. No, that's going a little out of bounds there. He's just a journeyman. He's just one of those journeyman players that like 80% of the time is like a one and done player in San Antonio. Like Hedo Turkoglu, CP3, Derek Anderson, all those one and done players in San Antonio. Oh my God, who was another one and done player? If I could think of one, Mark Bryant was another one. Let me see here. Think. Nick Van Exel was one and done. Damon Stoudemire. I could go on about, as a longtime Spurs fan of 29 years, I can name you all the one and done players and, in team history. So there you go. I have a feeling Luke Cornett's probably going to be a one and done player. I hate to say it, but but who knows? Maybe he might wreak some havoc. And speaking of the new Spurs comers, there's one that's on my shit list that I will not be rooting for this season. We'll save that part for the end of the video as the best for last. So after we break down the schedule, so we're going to get in a different spot in the room to talk about that part, because that one really pissed me off. So therefore, and we have 3 point. Okay, let's get to the next part. So now we have 3 point guards on the team with Castle, Fox, and Harper. So I don't know how that's going to go so well, but I'm pretty sure Mitch Johnson and his coaching staff will figure it out slowly but surely. And the potential starting lineup is unknown. Who's going to get that, starting power forward position, whether it be Barnes or Sohan. And Dylan Harper has said he doesn't mind coming off the bench, even though Castle and Wembanyama peaked immediately as rookies, and so did Tim Duncan and David Robinson, starting in most of the games or all of the games. So, stuff like that. Or Tony Parker. I mean, Ginobili's the only heavyweight name in Spurs history that was a heavyweight rookie in San Antonio that only came off the bench because he was more known as a sixth man. But, Harper is a team first kind of player and decides, if James Harden could wait his turn to become a starter and become great. Although Harden, I wouldn't say great because he's known for being a playoff choker and, disappearing in the postseason when it matters most, kind of like that fraudulent fake ass Kyle Petty and that fraudulent basketball team in Cleveland. So ever since he was in Utah, so therefore, I wouldn't consider Harden great when all he does is choke year after year and, has no rings to show for it. Because unlike, at least with Chris Paul, he shows greatness without winning a ring with grace and dignity, something that Harden and Fraudovid know nothing about. So therefore, that's neither here or there. So, I forgot what I was saying.
And you know what? I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah, that starting spot, who's going to get it, power forward, Sohan or Barnes, but only time will tell. We'll probably know, but close to the season opener, which we will have more details on that a little later. So therefore, Fox, was, signed to that new deal to keep him in San Antonio for a really long time. So therefore, I'm really excited about that. And hopefully, I know he did suffer a small injury, not long after recovering from that finger surgery. He decided to get out of the way so that way he doesn't have to linger here. He didn't have to linger him if he decided to risk playing on it the rest of the year and then getting surgery on it in the off season, and then he had to miss a good part of the first part of the upcoming season. He did the right thing and did health first. So he and Wembanyama could have been used against the Cavaliers, where we wouldn't have been down as much had they been playing both here in Ohio and over in San Antonio. So, and we still almost beat them both times without those two. So hopefully this year goes a hell of a lot different, especially, spoiler alert, the one on Paris Burrell's birthday in San Antonio on NBC, Living La Vida Labrat, Skylar Storm, a.k.a. Scarlett. So, therefore, that one's going to be a big one. That one's going to be a big one for me. And that one, I think that's going to be an epic Spurs game review, what we're going to do. So, I spoiled one of the future games for you guys, unfortunately. But, oh my God, there was so much to talk about here. Where do we go next for in terms of, Spurs news updates?
A few minutes later.
So it was Fox. The injury that Fox suffered was a muscle strain, which he intelligently, canceled his Asian tour. Wembanyama says he really wants to be a Spur for life, and for those lemmings who say, "Ooh, but that's what the fraud and the jailbreak, nephew said." Well, guess what? History doesn't always repeat itself, and Wembanyama is not that fucking piece of shit who stabbed us in the back in 2017-18 outside of a secret 9 games. Everybody's different. At least Wembanyama doesn't have a manipulating uncle under his belt, that shall not be named ended up having. So therefore, history doesn't always repeat itself, for one, and two, everybody's different. So this is definitely going to be different too. So therefore, everybody chill the fuck out. So I think, and also Wembanyama and Fox combined make a total of $122 million a year. That is a shitload right there. Wow. So that's all the little Spurs news I have that, came out. So let's break down the fucking San Antonio Spurs schedule, shall we? Alright, so let's break down the 2025-26 NBA regular season schedule for the black and silver. Go Spurs, bitch. Oh mama, Wembanyama, swipe on the Fox. So this will be the... How many times have we faced the Mavericks in the opening night, whether it be in the SBC Center or in Dallas, the American Airlines Arena? Isn't the Miami Heat American Airlines Center and Dallas Mavericks American Airlines Arena? I think Dallas is the American Airlines Center. Yeah, American Airlines Center. I think Miami's my American Airlines Arena. So therefore, let me fix the camera. There we go. So yeah, the Dallas Mavericks Arena. Yeah, that's where we're going to be starting. Where it's only going to be the two next generational talents in San Antonio and Dallas after Duncan and Dirk, but it's going to be Wemby. Well, of course, with it being Wemby versus Flag, it won't only just be that, but it'll also be the number 1 pick and number 2 pick in the 2025 draft going head to head. So that one is going to be fun. I get to stay up hopefully most of the night to watch it, so I don't have to go to bed too early, but at the same time, I can't, most likely won't be able to do the game recap until the next day after I get out of work. So therefore, and then the first home game of the season is going to be in the middle of the day, during the Old Dominion 500 at Martinsville, the second to last race of the round of 8 in the 2025 NASCAR Chase for the Cup. Chase for the Cup. God damn it! But the first NASCAR San Antonio doubleheader of 2025-26, the weekend before I go to the Chuck Arda Parts 500 at Phoenix for the last ever regular yearly NASCAR championship weekend there at the Chuck Arda Parts 500 before it moves back to Homestead, Miami for 1 year next year and then starts rotating venues in 2027. God help us all. God help us all. This is going to be the first one, and I'm going to be fucking busy all goddamn day. And since it's not going to be on a regular channel, and I can't do the Fire Stick and NBC cable, the cable box at the same time, I'm going to have to go on that website I found that will bail us out from, be able to give us, Jacob and Sean no matter what. It'll give us Jacob and Sean no matter what. And while I'm watching the Spurs home opener, I will be watching the Old Dominion 500 at the same time. So I'm going to be, live blogging, both events on Facebook. I'll be talking about both events on TikTok, obnoxiously getting into it, frustrated and angry, or excited and happy. Hopefully the exact opposite of what happened last year's Old Dominion 500, which if you know, but that one's going to be a wild day for me. Last shower before we take off to Phoenix for the championship weekend at the Basha Supermarkets 200 and the Check Arda Parts 500. And yes, that will be a YouTube vlog that I'll be seeing on the channel. That'll be probably recorded, uploaded after the Sandy Ridge finale takes place. So hopefully we can get back home in time after the race weekend, before we can record the Sandy Ridge finale. Like that race weekend or anything like that never happened. So, therefore, and as you all know, last year, the Spurs did play on Christmas for the first time since the Live and La Vida Lab Rats era in 2016. The first year Duncan was not on the team due to retirement when they were still using the second and final year of this exact jersey I'm pointing at. It's against the defending champion OKC Thunder and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So, therefore, the first time they played on Christmas since 2016 was against the New York Knicks. So, therefore, and as we all know, with Emily and I, we didn't spend Christmas together last year because we weren't together long enough. And ever since she came over in 2023, to start, to visit me and make me happy, her and I decided to start a tradition where, whether she makes it or not, where we try to see each other on Christmas when she comes back to Ohio to visit family and friends and important people that she loves, like her best friends that are like her family, for Christmas. Depends on how much time she may or may not have. So it will be luck. The only way we get to see her like in 2023 is by pure luck in terms of her having enough time to see enough people. And I'm not talking about Emily, as you know. You should know who I'm talking about. My number one girl best friend since my birthday eve in 2017, a day before my Kenny Wallace 23rd birthday, and a day before the Spurs played the Magic on on that same day and beat the piss out of them. The first birthday game without Duncan. And, I had the Valentine's shit show, the worst Valentine's Day I've ever spent at work, or not just at work, but in my, what was then 23 years of life. Every other Valentine's Day I've had was good. Kind of like the only bad birthday I had was 2001 because of Earnhardt Sr. at Daytona and the Great American Race 3 days after I turned 7. But you already know what I'm talking about. And she is going to be the godmother of mine and Emily's future son, Ricky Martin Oliveris, Brindley Lynn Kerr. So if we're lucky to have Emily come over for us to spend our first Christmas together, and if it most likely will be cold again on Christmas. It's not going to be a nice, comfortable Christmas where it wasn't too warm. It was nice enough to the point where people are outside walking around the neighborhood on Christmas Day after they were done opening presents with their families and having their early afternoon Christmas dinner, and we're like, leaving their TV to go and enjoy the weather taking a break from the basketball to enjoy the weather for a little bit. It's probably not going to be like last year wasn't like that either. So obviously last year wasn't even like that. So which is no surprise. So I highly doubt that, we're going to get that, lucky ass nice, beautiful Christmas weather again, because that usually doesn't happen all the time. That was like the first and only time in my life that this happened. So, but they're most likely going to be super cold, like in 2024 and unlike 2023. I'll have to have Brindley come in the house then. So if I'm lucky to get both of my number one girls here to spend Christmas with me, if it's too cold for Brindley and I to visit, and even Emily to visit out in the front yard, we'll invite her in. And then if she comes over during the Spurs game, all three of us are gonna watch it together. We're gonna watch it together. But if Emily's here first and Brindley doesn't come till after the game and Emily's still here, then my mom says go ahead and come in the house and you can be able to spend time with Mark and his woman. You can be his girlfriend, his other number one girl. Then we'll come up here and spend time together. So that would be nice to have both of my number one girls here in the same bedroom with me. But you just never know what's gonna happen next. I could get lucky where I could be in heaven in terms of heaven. I wouldn't want to fucking leave. So that would be fucking nice. So it would be like we're planning our future on Christmas for our second Spurs miss in 2 years. And mine and Emily's first romantic Christmas together as a couple. And mine and Brindley's, second Christmas in 3 years since she moved to Utah. That is going to be a special day. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. And then maybe after the game recap or before, or spending time with Emily and or Brindley up here, or during the game, however this is going to work. It's only if I know Emily's there's a lot better shot at coming than Brindley does. But if one or both of them come, then we'll do the Spurs game review and the what I got for Christmas video at different times of the day. So therefore, I haven't figured it out yet. We got plenty of time to figure it out, but that's going to be a special one. So therefore, and the one against the Cavs here in Ohio is going to be on December 5th. It's really early in the year this year, and like in the beginning of season 5 of Winter Wonderland, instead of like late in the winter production on my season of in terms of my seasonal production on here on YouTube and over on TikTok. It's going to be, because all these years, it is most of the time, usually since we've been in Sandy Ridge, it's usually at the second half of the season. The second half, the beginning of the new calendar year instead of the end of the calendar year it's about to finish out. Like, under normal circumstances, it would have been like in the 2026 part of 2025-26, like late winter, like mid to late winter, going into any time during the spring. We're in the closing stages of the NBA regular season where we're fighting to get in to the NBA playoffs. Like the teams are fighting, or that stupid gimmicky play-in tournament, because fuck that gimmicky ass in-season tournament. Usually it's towards the end of the regular season, and like in the deep in this like towards the end. But this year it's really, really early. So unfortunately, when me and my dad go to the game, we're gonna be freezing our asses off trying to get there and shit. So after all these years of being comfortable, and it's going to be at night rather than the middle of the day like it was in Wembanyama's rookie year. So that one's going to be early in the season. So I got to make sure, hopefully my dad knows, that way he buys the tickets, and, we continue the tradition that's been in place since 2011. The only year we missed out was the lockout year in 2012. If you know, you know, even though probably most if not all of you probably don't, because I didn't have this channel back then. So Yeah, and the one against them in Ohio, here in San Antonio, like I said, will be, I'll spoil when I spoiled you guys, it's going to be on Paris Barelsa's birthday when, living like Kyler Storm, Scarlett on Living La Vida Lab Rats, and that one's going to be an NBC game. So either way, we don't have to worry about drunk old bitch ass Austin Carr at all, no matter how hard we try or don't try. So that one's going to be nice. My birthday game is going to be the closest one to my birthday. Is going to be against Golden State. I hate West Coast games, but since it's my birthday game, I am going to make an effort to stay up for that one. But if I can't finish the whole game, then so be it. We'll just shut it off. We'll come up here, have some downtime, and go to bed and get ready to go to work the next day and get ready for the first Daytona 500 and the first birthday, which my 32nd without my grandma. And this will be my first full Spurs season without her too. So this Spurs season will be my 29th. It's going to be hit heavy for me since my grandma's not here to give me inspiration and motivation with her rendition of the San Antonio Spurs 3-point catchphrase, bang, bang, Tito Puente. So that's going to be a little hard not hearing her rendition of me saying that line every time the Spurs hit a 3-pointer. So yeah, it sucks, part of life, and it's not easy, no. But hey, life goes on. The show must go on no matter what. So, I know the New York Knicks are. A shout out to Ashley Argota Torres and Mick Torres. Mick, your team plays my team on New Year's Eve, so I will be tagging you in that shit. I don't know. We play the Lakers multiple times each and every year, so I know actually Argota Torres is probably looking forward to facing the team of her longtime fans of 10 years since her time on Living La Vida Lab Rats as Taylor S. Swan, Mark Oliveris' team. So at least Spencer's her middle name, so you know what I mean. Ashley Argota Torres and her Taylor S1 character were not heavyweight names in terms of character and actress on Lab Rats, but at least they recognized the fans, the little fans that knew her from Lab Rats more than True Jackson VP, which more people know, the majority know her for. I'm in the minority where I know her from Lab Rats because I was a Living La Vida Lab Rats super fan addict for 3 years, and that's how I found her on the episode On the Edge, right before Bionic Island came to an end. And, going into Elite Force, which, the cancellation of Elite Force with that horrible cliffhanger on October 22nd ended the franchise as a whole, which sparked me to, write my Living La Vida Lab Rats and Martin Friends fanfic, which was a Martin Brillo story to do my own, to add to this franchise in my own way, continuing the series by putting my real life into it and combining my real life at the time here in Sandy Ridge and here in Northeast Ohio, Lorain County, stuff like that, and combined with the Lab Rats universe of both the original and the Elite Force combined together. So at least, she acknowledges some of the minority fans, a fan base that know her from outside True Jackson VP, and that one of them is that have a fellow sports fan like her, being a Spurs fan, while she's a Laker and Knick and Yankee fan. I don't know how many times we play. I don't know when the first meeting is against the Lakers or how many times we play them, but I look forward to interacting with Ashley Argota Torres, and every time the Spurs play the Lakers, the Mick Torres, her husband, every time the Knicks play his Knicks play my Spurs. That's going to be a fun one. Those are going to be some fun matchups. I know there's a lot of people, my friends and family, both real life friends, internet friends, and actually immediate and extended family. I don't say immediate family, like extended family who are really big fans of all these different teams. Majority of them are here in Ohio that are Cavs fans that are looking forward to facing my squad and tagging me in anything. Whether my Spurs beat them and they say, "Good game, Mark. You won fair and square. Where we'll take the L and call it a night. You deserve that one." Or if they beat my team, we got you this time, Mark, or something like that. So I look forward to all the hopefully fun and civil trash talk and fun back and forth between my peers and I this season, whether it be family, real life friends, internet friends, or show peeps. So that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, that's for sure. I think where it's. before we get into the ranty stuff, which we're going to get into in a second, I just want to say, no matter what we like or what we are gonna or don't like, I feel like the Spurs, I'll give this. I usually don't rate, anything NASCAR related or Spurs related. Be NASCAR races, Spurs games, or Spurs off-season moves, or NASCAR off-season moves, or how I rate, how they set up the schedules for the new seasons of NASCAR racing and San Antonio Spurs basketball, which the NASCAR schedule will be tomorrow's video before the Lorraine County Fair video goes up. So, I usually don't rate races or schedules, new season schedules or off-season moves, but in this case for the Spurs, I will. Let me think here. I would say I'm going to give the Spurs off-season grade an A minus, because we excelled in the draft. Hopefully Carter Bryant will prove me wrong, and having 3 point guards can actually work, and getting Luke Cornett, give up Mamu and B West and all the other homeboys, Bassey, Olynyk, which I'm not happy with that son of a bitch. We'll get to him in a second. That one's going to be more ranty. It's going to be a mild rant, though, so therefore it's not going to be too ranty. I'm kind of like over-speaking. So, David Jones Garcia. Oh, yeah. I'll talk about the homeboys after this, and then we'll go in the ranty part. So, therefore, David Jones Garcia, all these people we signed, I feel like the playoff light that's been dark in San Antonio the last 6 years is going to turn back on, and we're going to make the big leap and, go to the 6-year playoff drought and go to the playoffs for the first time since the 2018-2019 season, which we all know should have been Tony Parker's last playoff hoorah without Tim and Manu, but sadly, we can't have nice things unless we are lucky to touch the PS4 and do an NBA Live 19 What If alternate history fan fiction where we make that a reality, where even though we don't have to win the championship, but I have a feeling that with the help of Wembanyama, Fox, Castle, Harper, and Bryant, all the other newbies, and returning folks, I think this is the year we end the playoff drought. So I think that we're in prime position to do this. The only thing that kicks it down from an A+ is that I wanted Maxime Rayner, and how the fuck you say is the other French dude that's basically Wembanyama's height. If we would have drafted him instead of Carter Bryant, then I have a feeling me and Wembanyama could have been the next Tim Duncan and David Robinson, Twin Towers 2.0, where he would have been able to help Wembanyama do all the work in the paint, where Wembanyama didn't have to do it himself, where even if Wembanyama wanted to go from mid-range or long plays and long twos or shoot from 3-point land, and let Reina, the other French dude, Maxime, do all the work. I'll do most of the work more than him if he had to. Then that takes the weight off, would have taken the weight off both their shoulders, where they could have balanced it out. But that's the only thing I bumps it down. So with Bassey, B West, and Mamu gone, I have 2 new homeboys, and I'll address the other one because I don't know the fate of this one. So my 2 new homeboys this season is going to be the B West replacement. Jordan McLaughlin, I met him last year, and when Carter Bryant picked his number, I thought J-Mac was off the team, but shockingly, he decided to stay despite that, but he'll have to pick a different number, unfortunately. And then my new homeboy, because he tore that shit up like Terry Labonte in the Summer League this year, David Jones Garcia. Now, if he could do what Trey Jones sadly couldn't do for me, and, replicate that Summer League greatness with the big boys on a consistent basis, then he has a shot to be something special in this league, and become a prominent, figure in San Antonio for a long time, for years to come. But as for McLaughlin taking, no, more on that in a second. But as far as Bismack Biyombo goes, I don't know the fate of him, unfortunately. I've been trying to find this shit out, and I have not heard a damn thing. Once I do, I will immediately pass it along to you. We will make a short video addressing this, and we'll go from there, and then we'll be ready to look forward to start the season on October 22nd, and then that following Sunday after that, the 26th. We'll be ready to start our home games on SBC Center during the afternoon of the Old Dominion 500 in Martinsville. Now the elephant in the room, barely the main elephant of the room, these Spurs headlines, the mild rant. Now we all know about Jordan McLaughlin getting his number 11 taken by Carter Bryant, a.k.a. Kobe's nephew. Well, if he's going to pick a different number, all I can say is he better not pick 15 or 31 because we all know what fucking will happen because that's what's happening now is some son of a bitch decided to take the number 8. So why don't we get into that little mild rant before we call this shit a fucking video? Well, Mr. Olynyk. So apparently, since the Maxima deal did not work out in our favor, considering, the Kings took him before we even had a chance to trade for a second round pick or whatever. We decided to add you and Luke Cornett to our depth chart of big men to give Wembanyama the help. And at first, when jersey numbers were not a thought, what you guys were gonna pick. Cornett picked his way before. It was 7. It's Fabrizio's old number, but Fabrizio is not a Spurs great kind of player like the likes of Bonner, Rose, and the player I'm about to talk about shortly here. But you get the point. Or George Gervin, the best in Spurs history of all Spurs greats to not win the NBA championship, considering he was the first superstar and did not have Greg Popovich, because Greg Popovich has not even come to San Antonio yet. That was long before he came to San Antonio. So I was looking forward to seeing you help Wembanyama give him that I was looking forward to seeing you guys give Wembanyama the help he needs underneath the paint, even if it means you both had to come off the bench, because I know obviously it's not going to be the three of you guys playing at the same time. It's probably going to be one of you was going to be playing with Wembanyama together, either one of you, or both of you at the same time when Wembanyama and Barnes/Sohan are on the bench. So I was looking forward to that. I was excited to have Kelly on the team. I was. I mean, Luke Cornett's in good hands because retiring Fabrizio Berto's number is the least of my worries and should be the least of Mitch Johnson, Brian Wright Pop in the front office's worries. So should be retiring Danny Green's. I know a commenter on this Instagram post said, why hasn't Green's number been retired? Well, Danny Green was a lights-out shooter in the 2013 finals and 2014. And could have been co-finals MVP with Duncan in 2013 had we won. And, Ginobili in the front had made their free throws, along with the fact that if they had kept, Pop never took out Duncan and what could have been the final Heat possession for them to grab the board, whether Ginobili and the fraud missed free throws or not. Regardless, if Duncan would have stayed in the game when the 4 and 6 in the finals missed that 3-point shot, he would have been the best option to grab that board, and they would have called it. It would have been ball game over, and then probably would have fouled him. And no matter how he would have done in the free throws, even if he made one and missed one, it was not going to matter what the Heat were going to do. So when we would have won in back-to-back years, and this man would have been 6-0 in the finals and tied Michael in rings and a perfect finals record. That would have been fucking awesome. Would have been the extra power to be a Spurs and Tim Duncan fan, but hey, sometimes things aren't meant to be, fortunately. But anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, I was looking forward to that. I was really tempted to see what jersey number you were going to pick, and I was praying to God you would make my worst fear come true. Well, apparently you did. You see, it looks like Mitch Johnson, Brian Wright, prop in the front office have not learned from Keita Bates-Diop or Nathan Menza, even though he never played a game for the big boy team, despite still being on the summer league, on the junior league team and the Austin Spurs. I could make a case. I don't even count Nick Van Exel for that matter, because at least Van Exel, when he had Malik's number, Malik was still playing, so that was okay. So that was a totally different scenario. Malik was still playing on the Knicks after we got rid of him for Nazim Mohammed the year before when we were on our first ring without Robinson, and Malik missed out on getting a third ring by half a season. So that kind of doesn't count. But either way, it's also like we never learned anything from Quindary Weatherspoon, Joe Wieskamp, or Jabari Bouye with Bonner's number, even though, to be fair, number 15 I'd already seen, a little bit of greatness, considering even though this man never won a ring with the Spurs, considering he was only there with Duncan for his rookie season and then left the next year when he missed the first ring by 1 year, Vinny Del Negro. But, which is why I was happy to get rid of KBD and Weatherspoon, Wieskamp, and later Bouye, so we can keep, the 31 and the 15 from ever being used again, which those two, along with the 8, should be disallowed from ever being used again in San Antonio, so we could put Rose, Bonner, and Mills in the rafters where they belong. So it should be a stipulation in the contract for every NBA team that is an all-time team great, not also an NBA great, that if they haven't been playing for a long time, or that's beside not playing for a long time, if they're on that one team for a long time, like most of their career, almost all of their career, like all their career except 1 or 2 seasons, or all of their career from start to finish, day one to the first day to the last day, and the team hasn't retired their number yet for being an all-time great for the team, having a huge impact on them, whether or not they won a championship, it should be a stipulation that their number should never be disallowed from being used in franchise history again, so the owners of the team can consider retiring it in the rafters out of respect for that all-time great. Because the OKC Seattle didn't waste any time. They snapped a finger, they retired Nick Hollison's number like it was nothing. And that dumbass Minnesota fan on TikTok said that there was a difference between the Thunder and the Spurs when it comes to retiring jersey numbers. Shouldn't be fucking talking, because last time I checked, his team, the Timberwolves, hasn't even retired their best player's number yet, as in Kevin Garnett, who Boston had to borrow from the said team to get Garnett his first and only ring. So that kind of was an asterisk to say how much Garnett deserved to have a jersey retired, considering he couldn't even do that in Minnesota. And, to that dumbass, I'm going to tell you, I said it once before, and I'll say it time and time again. The only difference between the Thunder and the Spurs is that Mills, Bonner, and Rose, over the years, contributed to championship-winning teams in San Antonio, went to the playoffs every year, and won rings every year, if not every other year, while Collison did not do any of that shit at all in Seattle OKC. End of story. So if he could get his jersey retired, so can Mills, Bonner, and Rose in San Antonio. I know Rose and Bonner right now are still looking good, and you thought this nightmare was going to be over after Wembanyama's rookie season. We got rid of Bouye, and we narrowly dodged a bullet on campaign in the 2023 offseason. We drafted Wemby, taking Bonner's number, where even though he changed his mindset, I don't want to be in San Antonio, get me out of here. And you thought this nightmare was over after none of those 3 numbers got taken last year, thankfully. Well, you were wrong. We're going to have to live with this shit another year, because apparently Olynyk decided to take Mills' number and, keep Frank. And Mills had just ironically, just after Mills had quietly announced his retirement and the news was quietly spread out there without most people knowing. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with Brian Wright, Mitch Johnson, Brian Wright pop in the front office? It's like they never learned, between KBD, Menza for a short period of time last offseason, Weatherspoon, Bouye, and Wieskamp. It's like they never learn to the point where keep those numbers already, from ever being in the vault. Keep them in the vault, and when you're ready, if they're and just like the whole Marcus Aldridge thing. I know Bowen gave him permission to use it, number 12, to keep his Portland identity. But hypothetically, if I was Bowen, I would have told him no. If you're going to keep some kind of identity close to you from majority of playing career, pick your college number 23. Well, if Aldridge had picked 23 for his college number, it would have given him his own identity in San Antonio compared to Portland, and I would have had more respect for him. And turns out Aldridge didn't do shit in San Antonio. He was good in San Antonio, but he was not monster good. Like that dog he had it in Portland, all of a sudden disappeared in San Antonio and didn't do shit. And yet he still almost got a ring in San Antonio with a washed up Duncan in 2015-16, and almost got a ring in the first year Duncan was gone, if, injuries and Zaza Pachulia didn't get in the damn way, and bad luck in that 2017 postseason that was going well in the beginning. So all these players that come into these teams as free agents or in trades or rookies, if they say they're going to pick a number, if it's a number of those 3 Spurs grades that they wore in college or high school, I think Pop should, and Brian Wright in the front, and Mitch Johnson in the front office should tell them, no, you can't use that number. We're disallowing that number from being used again. So Rose/Bonner/Mills can be in the rafters in SBC Center and later our downtown arena one day where they belong to, like, and out of respect for the impact in San Antonio, so pick a different number. That's, again, should be a stipulation in every NBA team's contract that has an NBA great, but not an NBA great, a team great, but of course the Players Association won't fucking listen. That's probably who's in charge of that shit. I don't fucking know who runs in charge of that shit, but I am so disappointed in Olynyk for giving me high hopes for him this season just to take a Spurs greats number. Right after he retired, quietly announced his retirement too. I kind of don't have respect for him now, and he's basically on my shit list for that. So I will not be rooting for him this season. I will be wanting, as the season progresses throughout the months, weeks, I will be inching closer to wanting that number stealing piece of shit off the team, so we can have a better chance of putting Mills in the rafters. Whether it's still in SBC Center, we transfer everything to the rafters of the rafters of the downtown arena. Kind of like how I was always consistent with this. I wanted KBD off the team because of Rose. I wanted Weatherspoon, Wieskamp, Booyah off the team because of the Red Rocket. So now it's Olynyk's turn for me to want him off the team because of Mills. So, therefore, I know some Celtic fans said it could still happen where a guy or some rando had Ray Allen's old number 20, and, they, considering, they could still retire it if he leaves. I can't remember who the name of the player was. Someone correct me in the comments. Who was number 20 on the Celtics in this, present Celtics team? Where, if he were to leave and the number 20 isn't used for a long time, they could consider retiring it for Ray Allen. And so he did more in Boston than he did. I mean, he did a little more in Miami too, in Boston combined, than he did in Milwaukee and Seattle combined. But, Mills and Bonner did more in San Antonio than Mills did in Portland, and Mills did in any other team after he left the Spurs. And Bonner did more in San Antonio than he did in Toronto. Rose did more in San Antonio than he did with the teams that he played for after we traded him away for Nazr Mohammed. So come on, Brian Wright, Mitch Johnson, Brian Wright, pop in the front office. Just do your job. Do every true Spurs fan a favor and make sure you just, if Olynyk ever leaves this team and nobody ever in the near future takes the 15 or 31 or actually takes the 8 again, make sure you permanently disallow those 3 numbers from being used again, because Rose, Mills, and Bonner deserve to have their jerseys retired in the rafters in San Antonio with their numbers on it, with their last name above it, and the years they played on the Spurs below it, just like every other Spurs great to have their jersey retired. I mean, if someone in San Antonio like Bruce Bowen or Avery Johnson could get their jersey retired, then guess what? So can Patty Mills, so can Matt Bonner, so can Malik Rose. So that's just a little mild rant. It's not going to be all this, pure anger and frustration, yelling and rage. So yeah, it was a mild. I did get a little upset, a little mad, but not furiously mad. So that's all I wanted to come on here and say. Other than bum-ass Olynyk taking Mills' number, it's going to be a fun 29th year as an NBA fan. Tomorrow we will break down the 2026 NASCAR schedule for the Winston Cup, Busch Grand National, and Craftsman Truck Series. Have a good night tonight and a better day tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Good night. See you all for the next video, which will be said video tomorrow after we get out of work, and then Lorain County Fair Adventures on Wednesday, which was pre-recorded and will technically be a tape-delayed video, considering, I usually would upload stuff like that, like right after I get home from those things. But not only was I tired and a little winded, it wasn't blistering hot, so I wasn't like completely exhausted. I just wanted to rest, and plus I didn't have the time or the effort or the motivation or the desire to put it together like I did last night. I put it together soon on the phone and then go on the computer, transfer that video file to it so I can put the proper, traditional, yearly, quote unquote, my tradition juice graphics and title cards on the computer, on the editor. I have the computer called OpenShot Video Editor, where I was going to add some new spices and elements to it this year. Towards the beginning of the video, before the the opening title starts and the beginning of the actual video starts. I won't tell you what it is because you have to tune in Wednesday to find out. I did put it together, so Wednesday I will have sometime late tomorrow or we'll work on it tomorrow. Here's what we're gonna do. So either before or after we record our NASCAR schedule 2026 video, we will edit it on the computer, upload it to YouTube, and schedule it for a Wednesday upload, so we don't have to worry about doing anything on Wednesday. And then Thursday we have to figure something out. And then Friday, Cedar Point will spend it off camera, for precautionary safety measures. And then we'll start the end of some explosion in general, but just not on YouTube. On YouTube it'll start on the 30th in Sandy Ridge. And then the 31st, the season 5 finale of Fun in the Sun. I hope we can end the 5th season of summer production with a bang. Well, in conjunction with the end of Summer Explosion, which will be the second year in a row that the summer finale will be the end in conjunction with the end of Summer Explosion. Labor Day is September 1st, and then we'll have a quiet September 2nd and 3rd, because September 3rd is Jesselyn Wantlim, Giselle Vickers from Living La Vida Labyrinth, John Andretti for their 43rd birthday. And I think September 4th, we will start Adventures in Autumn. So that's going to be a little different this year because that's a Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, that's going to be a Thursday after we get done talking to Cassie. And then September 5th, I don't know, man. Cause everybody, now that school's back up and running and football season is slowly starting back up all across the nation, all across America and the rest of the globe that plays football at this time of year, when summer is coming to an end and fall starting, not long before winter, before the start of winter production and the winter Christmas season, and before the burn month, the deep part of the burn months of the big 3 consecutive holidays of Halloween and through Christmas. It's going to be hard to make any videos in Sandy Ridge or have any fun in Sandy Ridge on or off camera on Fridays, because everybody and their grandma is going to be at the football games. So that's going to be a little hard. So therefore, but I promise you we'll have something on September 6th at Uncle Richie's, family gathering up involving my mom's side of the family. And Sunday we'll just, if we decide, we'll probably go outside instead of watching Gateway. But if we decide not to go outside, we'll just stay in the house and relax and chill and take a day off from Sandy Ridge. But the next NASCAR race I'll be watching will be Saturday night, September 19th, the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. And that'll probably suck ass after how shitty the short track package is, after how last year's Sharpie 500 went with me being sick in bed with the sinus ear infection. But I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not holding my breath. I have my doubts. But all I know is at least I won't be sick in bed with the sinus ear infection this time, and I can actually enjoy it from the comfort of my office where I watch my NASCAR racing and San Antonio Spurs basketball. And I know you guys missed the basketball broadcast of my friends in school playing basketball, where I support them. That'll hopefully come back this year. I'm going to try to attend at least a couple football games with my friends. JV for Adam Ferris and Lucas Moyer. Shout out to them. A freshman game for Ronnie Dunlap, Brenner Hasker, 2 of my besties. Braxton Jarrett, and who was the other one who we were supporting? Ronnie, Braxton, besties Brenner and Ronnie, neighbor Braxton. Of course, Braxton's cousin, Quinn Melvin. Yeah, we're going to try to support them, and hopefully we will go to, I don't know too many 8th graders on the football, who are on the 8th grade team this year. I know some, but it's not as familiar as last year's team, because every year, every football team of every grade changes every year based on which students get advanced to, which higher grade every student advanced to each and every year as they get older. And of course, we're going to attend at least 3 football games a year, maybe a bonus 4th. But I have to pick one when it comes to my friends. I can't attend them all. We'll attend at least 3 different Ridgeville games. A varsity, one junior varsity, 1 freshman, and then a randomized, only 1 pick, because I can only do so much at a time. We're going to have to pick a random football game that's outside of that comfort zone we normally have, and support a random friend on a random team. I think I might know who I have in mind, but a lot can change. I'll let you guys know in any of my future videos. And the last thing I will say is, Addison Bachman, is playing volleyball is in her senior year. Keystone Wildcat, who's one of my best friends, whose sister Emma's grad party went to 2 years ago. So we're going to pick at least one volleyball game to attend to see her watch her play at least once before she graduates. And we go to her grad party next year for season 6 of Fun in the Sun. But like it is always with my friends, unless it's like a special occasion one-off or some rare special exemption for any special reason, it has to be a home game, so I can feel the comfort of the home crowd being in my friend's favor. So if we're cheering heavily for my friend's team, I'm not pissing off the crowd of the other team. And between the wild card of random other miscellaneous football games I could attend, I could go see my number one boy best friend and mine and Emily's other son's future godfather, Caden Clapham, play. I could do that. I could see Braden Cole play football, Angela Cole's son, who used to work at LiveQuest with me. I could watch, Harvey Tabor play football. I could watch Nelson Peck play football, Brittany's son. Any of those 4, but I can only pick one. I don't know if Gavin McMullen's playing football, so we'll have him bookmarked as a possible 5th candidate and a maybe. But whichever one I pick, that will be the 4th football game of the season 5 Adventures in Autumn. But I promise you, since all the shit from last year, this time last year has been cleared away finally, and things are a lot better now, the basketball game broadcast will come back with a vengeance when season 5 of Winter Wonderland starts on December 1st, when we kick off the Christmas season of 2025. Unfortunately, the first Christmas without my grandmother, but the first Christmas me and Emily will spend together romantically as a couple. So therefore, I guess that's it for me. I better stop rambling and shut the fuck up now. Catch you on the next video tomorrow when we go over the 2026 NASCAR schedule for the Winston Cup Series, the Busch Grand National Series, and Craftsman Truck Series. See you later, everyone.
Go, Spurs, go!
This copyrighted broadcast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the NBA.